Welcome back to JJ Central's DIY channel. Today we are checking out an exciting new product in this EV space, the Nexus plug-and-play charger by Lectron. They sent this unit over for me to test, so I'll do just that and walk you through the features, the compatibility with different cars, ease of use, and also perform a teardown to evaluate the build quality of this particular unit. Let's see how it performs, shall we? Let's get to work. We have a nice front interface and super thick wires. Let's keep going. The bracket for the wall and some extra long cables compared to any other product I've seen. Like I said, here's the plug, the NEMA 1450 plug. Seems pretty thick enough. Looks like there's another bracket to hang the wires, and yet another bracket to hold the Tesla plug. A user manual and some screws. That's about it. All right, let's compare the two Tesla and the Lectron side by side. They seem to be identical in every single way. As you can see, the Lectron one seems to be slightly beefier. Kind of see them up close. They are pretty much the same thickness. The specific specs for Lectron is there is two 8-gauge wires that are powering both the main two faces, and then a 10-gauge ground and 22-gauge data cables for these little pins. So that is what I believe the Tesla also has, so it meets or exceeds identical specs as a Tesla charger would. Mine is not lining up with the stud, so I'm just going to anchor them. Given us a template you could just peel the sticker, stick it in the wall, use that. But in this case, I can just directly do it, so I'm not too worried. So we have 4 holes in the drywall. Okay, all the holes line up. As you can see, the charger does have these 2 holes on the top that clips onto these hooks. Wiggle it, and the rest will click right in, and then you put a screw on the bottom to hold it in place. So that is how the mounting works. How does that look? Well, I already plugged it in, but if you want to see how it's plugged in, it's just like any other plug. You basically take the plug and push it in solid without any tension. The main thing is it should be close, because it's only like 2 feet of cable from the charger to the NEMA 1450 plug. That's a 50 amp plug, so it's a nice thick wire, as you can see. Compared to the Tesla one, I've seen like much thinner wire on that run. But here it is. Took 5 minutes, bracket goes on, mounted. All you need is this NEMA 1450 in your garage to do a plug-in version of this. If you don't have that, you can get the hardwired version. So instead of this cable, it'll just directly go from here into the panel, just like this one, 8-gauge or a 6-gauge wire. Let's see, so the cable can be mounted separately, which I like. You know, in the Teslas, usually you have to do it on top of it. So you can put it wherever it's convenient. I just put it here temporarily. But you also see the actual NACS plug holder is right here. So you got your connector plug that can be mounted here, just like that. So when you come and you want to charge your car, you just pull that and plug it into your car, put it back. We'll test multiple cars and see how these things work, at what amps and all that, okay? All right, this is a Volvo Recharge electric car with a J1772 plug that is a little older style. For this, I'm going to be using Lectron adapter that is not part of this kit, but you can pick it up for less than $50. So that goes in, and your NACS Tesla style charger goes into that. All right, looks like it's starting to charge, and even these lights are blinking. That means it's charging. That's great. Let's check inside the car now and see how it's doing. All right. The car can take up to 48 amps. If we do a hardwired system, it will absolutely do 48 amps. But right now, it is pushing 37 amps from the charger right there till the car. And that's putting out like 21 miles per hour. So if you're driving 40 miles round trip for your commute, you will take 2 hours to charge this car at home. All right, so bottom line, it's charging the Volvo Recharge pretty easily, plug and play. Now let's test it on a Tesla and see how it works. Next test is to see how long we can stretch this and charge a Tesla in the meantime. Okay, and let's plug this in. And instantly I hear the click on the other side, and it starts charging within like 3 seconds. 40 out of 40 amps, charging at a really good rate, and 36 miles per hour for this particular car. That is great. And to stop the charge, this button works as well. See? Releases. Perfect. So we do know now that it charges the Tesla, it charges the Volvo. Let's try it on one more electric car. Fun fact, in Nissan Ariya, the charge port is on passenger side front. Why? Because you could pull right into a Tesla supercharger head first, and that'll work. As you can see, it's a J1772 port. I'm using Electron's adapter first, and then I'll plug in the NACS plug right here. All right, let's grab that. It's, like I said, it's 23 feet long, so it should be plenty to go around the garage to the other side. And that's it. Plug it in. And it immediately starts charging. I don't know if you can see the blue light right there. You could see the charging green icon blinking right there. That's a good sign, and it's also telling how long it'll take to charge the full car. All right, final verdict. Do I like this? Absolutely yes. It is one of the simplest plug and play. You plug it in here, you plug the other side to the car, you're good. There's no screen, nothing to worry about. As long as it's green, it works just like how a simple device should be. Plug and play literally means that. Now, what do you miss out on that compared to other chargers like these with like massive app interfaces and all that stuff? I'll tell you what you're missing out is compensated by the car. For example, in some of these, you could set how much amps it is putting from here to the car. On the other hand, most cars do have that option where you can set it in the car saying, I only want 30 amps, not 40, and you limit it. Same thing with how much of the battery limit you want, like 90% of the battery I want to charge, or 80% of the battery. That is done in the car, not here. With these, you could do it in the car or here through the app. So that is the big difference. Also, schedule charging done on the car side. You want to charge in the nighttime and not in the as soon as you plug in. That can be done on the car app side and not in the device side. So those are the things I see difference between like a very smart interface based charger versus plug and play chargers like this. But the cost, a significant difference, There is some significant savings, and the simplicity of just plug in and go is much nicer, including with full-on GFCI protection, with a reset switch on the side, just like how your normal GFCI plug works, where you would, do a reset just like that. It'll trip. Same thing, trips, reset. Okay, let's take this apart and see the build quality, how it is, and we'll conclude the video at that point. Right? She is enthusiastic. All right, we'll check out the user manual and tell you all about the specs. Now I'm going to take it apart, and about 11 different screws all the way around. Let's flip it. There's one connector. That is what I would like to show. Now, well done. I'm impressed. Everything is tight and nice. If you look at the input, here's all your 6-gauge wires, the line and neutral. Technically it's 2 line. They could go between each other as share as neutral. And then the ground here on the yellow. And you can see 6-gauge wires and 8-gauge wire for the ground. What I'm testing here is if all these terminals are tight in terms of how it came from the factory. And yes, they're all perfectly tight, which I'm really happy about. You don't want to see any loose connection arcing in here. Copper conductors are all the way crimped properly. You could visibly see them. It's uniform. So well made, pretty well made. I'm pretty impressed on how good it looks. The isolation between them is really important, not too close to each other so they don't arc or anything like that. And then on the output side, it's slightly 1 gauge smaller, goes from 6-gauge to 8-gauge wire, because this has the capacity to bring in 50 amps from the 50 amp circuit or more. And then 40 amp is the regulated one that's going out. So here 8-gauge wire and possibly a 10-gauge for the ground on that one. So that's a pretty win-win in my opinion for how they handled the high voltage side. Now the high voltage also comes in here and gets converted to 12 volt to power this entire circuit, and that's what this black box is for, nothing but a transformer. And then let's get into the interesting part. The RCMU, this red box here, is the residual current monitoring unit, which is also another name for the GFCI. So it measures, you can see kind of like there's a hole in here. It measures the current that goes between these 2 legs and see the difference. If there's any leak, it knows that something is happening, whether it's grounding somewhere else or leaking and shocking someone else. So it'll immediately cut that off. So any arcing, anything like that. So this is good. When they say GFCI protected and this reset switch on this side, this is what is making it happen. And here's proof that it actually exists. They're not just saying that. 2 boxes are relays. They are the power relays that basically cuts the power off and waits for the car to say, I'm ready to charge. And when that connection happens, they turn the switch back on and comes for power from here, flows back into here. And that's what they're regulating. I'm also really liking these RTV silicon sealants, these white stuff you see everywhere. They not only serve a purpose of isolating these components for vibration resistance and all that, but they also good with thermal conductivity, and they provide insulation and also heat dissemination from those components, the capacitors here. So that acts like a really good heat sink for these components. They are pretty liberal in putting this everywhere, which I really like, between these resistors and all that. Finally, we have this microchip right here, the microcontroller or the logic chip, which is the one generally handshaking with the car if the car has a NACS protocol or a J1772 protocol. And that is what is telling the car, okay, you're good. Now we can send the big power, right? So that's the microchip right there. And then here's the other side is this little display LED, has all these different lights, and that's the circuit for that as well. One wiring harness, and that's it. So very cool, and a nice silicon gasket all the way around for waterproofing. So it's outdoor, indoor rated, everything. I'm pretty impressed. Very well done. Nexus model by Lectron. And even though they sent me this product, I do own a bunch of their product from my own money. Even the adapter you saw that I used for the cars, I bought it. I trust this company with my expensive cars, and that's why I was willing to do the review for them. And here it is. So what do you guys think? Is this a decent unit for you to plug and play? If so, feel free to look up the link in the description and you can buy it from there. Maybe there's a discount in there. If you have any questions regarding this or any unit when it comes to electric car charging, or how the circuit works, or how these plugs work, specifically when it comes to plugs, like, you're talking about these EVSE units plugging into NEMA 1450 like this, or can I plug into a 20 amp dedicated circuit, something like this, or what is the difference between a GFCI and non-GFCI? Any of those questions, feel free to put in the comment. I'll reply. I'm not an electrician. I'm just interested in this topic and so-called internet expert. So you can very well ask questions, and I hope this was useful. Don't forget to check out the description of this video for some discount codes for this particular product. And I hope you enjoyed this video, just like this guy. Enjoy and subscribe, and I will hope to see you in the next video with a similar product or something more exciting.